Chapter 3.1 Introduction to Equations. Okay, in this section we will learn about the equation, and then for the equation we will try to find the solution of the equation. Okay, first of all, an equation is equation contains expressions. So equation has equal sign. So since there is an equal sign, for example like this, there's an equal sign. So there are two separate quantities, quantities, right? So the left side of the equation should be equal to the right side of the equation. So for example, here's a balance. You know what the balance is. So if you put something on the left hand side, and then you must have the same quality on the right hand side. So this keeps the balance. So if you have more on the left hand side, then in order to keep the balance, you must have the same thing on the right hand side, right? So for this equation, x plus 8 is 13. Depending on the value of x, the left side of the equation is x plus 8. 8 is the expression and 13 is the number. So the left side must be equal to 13. So depending on the value of x, the equation can be true or it can be a false equation. So if x equals 5, then 5 plus 8 is 13. Then this equation is true. But if x is other than 5, like 7, then 7 plus 8 is 13. This is a false equation. So depending on the value of x, in this case, the equation becomes true. So in order to satisfy the equation, we must find x, right? So for this example 1 is not finding x. We just want to check whether the equation is true or not. Whether the equation is true or not. So is -3 the value of x? -3 is the value of x. Is -3 a solution of the equation? The question means solution means the value of x. The value of x. So if the value of x is -3, will this -3 make the equation true? That's the question. So what we do is we will check whether the amount in the left hand side of the equation is equal to the right hand side of the equation. So why don't we just plug in -3 for x and then calculate the left side of the equation and the right hand side of the equation. Compare if both quantities are the same, then yes, -3 is the solution. If the quantities are not the same, if the values from the left hand side of the equation and the right side is different, then -3 is not the solution. All right, so let's plug in -3. So 4 times -3 plus 16, then -12 plus 16, so that is equal to 4. So we got the value 4 on the left hand side of the equation. Let's check the right hand side. So x is -4, -3, so -3, the base is -3. Since the base x is a negative number, protect the number and the square, -5. Okay, so this is different. -3 square minus 5 is different. This is not right, because we want to multiply -3 twice. X squared means x times x. So if x is -3, then we should multiply -3 twice, which means -3 parentheses squared. Okay, so that is 9 minus 5 is 4. All right, so these two values are equal. Therefore, yes, -3 is a solution. Okay. All right, problem 1. Okay, why don't you do this? Okay, pause it and complete this. Okay, good. Is 1/4 a solution of the equation? Okay, the question is what? Is the value of x 1/4 satisfied? Does it satisfy the equation? Yeah, that's the question, right? So this means replace x with 1/4 and then check whether the left side and the right side have the same values. So 5 minus 4 times 1/4. Then you can cancel this 4. So 5 minus 1 is 4. How about this? 8 times 1/2, 1/4 plus 2. Then reduce this. So 2 plus 2, which is 4. So this is equal. So our conclusion is yes. 4 1/4 is a solution. All right. Okay, example 2. We will do the same thing. The expression, okay, for this expression, this is linear. The left-hand side, the right-hand side of the equation is the linear. It's a linear, but in this case, we have x squared. Now, x squared is a quadratic, but it doesn't matter. What we do is just replace x with -2. So let's check whether the left-hand side of the equation is same as the right-hand side by substituting -2 for x. So 4 plus 5 times what? X is -2, put parenthesis -2. Okay, we gotta multiply 5 and x. So 4 minus 5 times -2 is -10, -10. And the result is -6. Okay, the right side. Okay, -2 squared. Oh, wait a minute. Did I square something? Okay. Alright, the right hand side, same thing, x squared. So x is -2. So -2 parenthesis squared minus 2 times -2. Then -2 times -2 is 4, positive 4. Then -4, which is 0. This is not right. So -2 does not satisfy the equation, which means, the value, the left side and the right side of the equation is different. So -2 is not a solution. No, the answer is no. -2 is not a solution. Okay, problem 2, try. All right, let's check whether 5 is a solution. Okay, so we want to check whether the left-hand side of the equation is same as the value in the right side of the equation. So just plug in 5. So 10 times 5 minus 5 squared. So this is 50 minus, okay, this is 5 squared. Okay, 5 is multiplied twice, so that's 25. So the answer is 25. The right side is 3 times 5 minus 10. Then 15 minus 10 is 5, which is different. So, no, right? No. 5 is not a solution. All right, so what we do is just plug in x. So why don't I write down here? Okay, replace. Okay, what we do is replace x with what? The value -3. Right, this one, same thing. Replace x with 1/4. And then check the answers. Check, two values. Okay, solve equations of the form x plus a equals b. So the equation may be in this form, x plus a equals b. That means a and b is a constant, it's a number, and x is a variable. So when we solve this equation, this means, solving an equation means we will rewrite the equation so that the left-hand side of the equation is a variable only, like x. And the right side should be a number, like a constant. The constant means a number. So finally, if we have x equals a number like this, then this 3 is the solution for the equation. So solution means it's the value of x, the variable x in the equation. So in order to write an equation in this format, we have to do some calculations. we will use a property like addition property of equation. So look at this, addition property of equation. So addition property of equations means we have an equation like, for example, x plus 2 equals 9. This is an equation. So we want to find x. Solve the equation means we will write variable is equal to, variable should be equals to what? Constant. So in this case, x should be equal to some number. Some number, right? Some number. So this is what we're going to do. So in order to write in this form, x equals something, we will apply addition property of equations. Addition property of equations is this. Okay, the same number or variable term can be added to each side of the equation without changing the solution of the equation. So, equation is a balance, right? Equation is a balance. Equation is a balance. We have something on the left-hand side, and then 9 is on the right-hand side, right? 9 is on the right-hand side. Left-hand side is x plus 2. We don't know what the value of x is. We want to find x. So in order to find x, we can add something or subtract something from this balance. So this is x plus 2. So we can subtract 2. We can subtract 2 from the left-hand side. Then what do? We can also subtract the same amount from the right-hand side. So the left-hand side, once you calculate this, what we have is, we have only have x, right? X. Here's a balance. And once we simplify this, negative 10 plus 2 becomes 0. And this is 9 minus 2 is 7, right? So basically x equals 7. This is what we're going to do in the equation. Okay, we want to leave x on the left-hand side and plus 2, get rid of plus 2. So I want to make this plus 2 equal to 0. How do you make this equal to 0? Do you remember the inverse property of addition? So this is plus 2, so why don't we change the sign, which is negative 2. So add negative 2 each side. Add negative 2 each side, or subtract 2 from each side. Add or subtract. So 2 is positive, so the opposite of 2 is minus, right? Negative. So add the opposite of this number. Then once we simplify the left-hand side, 2 and minus 2 becomes 0, right? So x equals 9 minus 2, which is 7. So 7 is the solution. Okay. So finally, we wrote it in the form variable is equal to constant. So 7 is the solution. Okay. This is how we apply addition property of equations. All right, example 1. Exercise. Example 1. This is example 3. Okay, solve and check this equation. Okay, let's solve the equation. Okay, in order to solve the equation, we have a y on left-hand side, so get rid of this minus 6. How? The opposite of negative 6 is positive 6. So we will add 6 to each side of the equation. No, each side. Then y is equal to y, minus 6 plus 6 is 0. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0, so y is equal to 25. So this is the solution. 25 is the solution. The left side is y. So y is equal to 25. Check. Okay, let's check. Okay, y is 25 minus 6. Then is it equal to 9? Is it true? Yes. Correct. Right? Correct. So this is 9 is equal to 9. Correct. Okay. So this is the solution. All right, problem 3. Okay, we will solve and check. Okay, let's just solve it. If our calculation is correct, then, well, then when you check it, you will have the same answer. All right, so how do you find x? Okay, the left-hand side, there are two terms, x minus 1/3. So we will add 1/3 each side. Plus 1/3 each side. Do you know how to add fractions? You must know how to add fractions. So the left-hand side is what? Always negative 1/3 and plus 1/3 is cancel out 0. So x is equal to negative 3/4 plus 1/3, right? So x is equal to, okay, this is a fraction. So why don't we just find what's the LCD? LCD is 4 times 3, which is 12, right? 12. So why don't we write down 12 in the denominator? And then what should we multiply the numerator? Okay, 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. So you multiply 3 times by 3. Okay, let me rewrite. If you are confused, this is really important. Some of you are very confused and having problems with this. Some of you are having problems with this. Okay, so this is what we do. I will just duplicate this one twice because I want to show more steps. So what is the LCD? LCD is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. Right? Okay, and then I'm going to write down the numerator. The denominator 4 became 12 by multiplying 4 by 3, right? So 4 times 3 is 12. So since the denominator is multiplied by 3, also you have to multiply the numerator by the same number, 3. Then 3 times 3 is 9. Get it? Okay, for the second term, okay, 3 is multiplied by what? 4. So multiply the numerator also by 4. Okay, numerator by 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. So since the denominators are the same, we can add the numerators. The numerator is negative 9. This is negative, not 9, negative 9 plus 4. So denominator is 12. The numerator is negative 5. So you can write it you can put the negative sign outside of the fraction. So negative 5 over 12. So this is the solution. Okay, example 4. Okay, solve the equation. Okay, this equation contains a fraction like the previous example. Okay, it doesn't matter because we want to put one variable on one side. Okay, variable on one side, either left or right, doesn't matter. And the other side contains a number, constant. So in this case, we will subtract. Okay, the right side is y plus 2/3. So we will leave y on the right side of the equation. So get rid of positive 2/3 from the right side. So what we do is we subtract 2/3 from each side, or add negative 2/3 each side. That's what we do, right? So this is equal to y plus 2/3, but we will subtract each side by what? Negative 2/3. Okay, subtract negative 2/3, minus 2/3, add negative 2/3 because get rid of this positive 2/3. Then the left hand side then the right hand side is cancel out these 2/3, right? So the right side is y, the left side is, all right, let's do the same thing. The LCD is 6, right? LCD is 6. LCD is 6. So 2 is multiplied by 3 to make it 6. So multiply the numerator by 3. Okay, multiply the numerator by 3. 2 times 3 is 6, right? So multiply the numerator by 3. So that is 3. And this 3 is multiplied by 2. So multiply the numerator by what? 2. So 4. Can you see it? Don't get confused. If you don't know how to do this, please go to, review the previous, the algebra, the pre-algebra, or there are so many information, calculating the fractions. So go back to the math 89 or 87. It's not hard. All right, then we have the same denominator. So numerator is 3 minus 4 over 6 is equal to y. Then this is equal to negative 1 over 6 is equal to y. So usually when the variable is on the right side, we interchange the sides. Just interchange. So the right side becomes the left-hand side, and the left-hand side becomes the expression on the right side of the equation. So y is equal to what? Negative 1/6. All right, let's try problem 4. Okay, problem 4 is an equation that does not contain fractions, so it's much easier. So the variable is on the right side, so why don't we just get rid of this 5 from the right side of the equation? So this is positive 5, so why don't we subtract 5 from each side? Okay. Then negative 8 minus 5 is negative 13 is equal to x. And x is on the right side, so interchange the side, then x equals negative 13. Right? Okay, now we have an equation in this format. The left-hand side is ax equals b. Okay, the variable x is multiplied by some number. Then we have to rewrite this in the form what? The one side of the equation should be a variable like this, variable x. And the right side should be on a constant, something like this. So since we have our ax, x times a, right? This means a is a number, coefficient. So a number times x. So how do you get rid of this a? How do you get rid of this a? Okay, it's simple. We will use the multiplication property of equation. Multiplication property of equation. Okay, this means, okay, we have an equation. Here is an equation. We can multiply a non-zero number, okay, a non-zero number to each side of the equation. Okay, so do you remember this? Okay, let's say 2x. 2x. What happens if you multiply the reciprocal of, what is the reciprocal of x? Reciprocal of 2. It's 1 over 2, right? Okay, let me rewrite it here. So you have a 2, then the reciprocal of 2 is 1 over 2, right? The reciprocal. So when you multiply the reciprocal of a number, then it always cancels out, it becomes 1. So if we have 2/3, then what's the reciprocal of 2/3? It's 3/2, right? So you can cancel out and it becomes 1. So what we do is multiply the reciprocal of this number to each side. So multiply each side of the equation by the reciprocal of the number 2, the coefficient of x. So multiply reciprocal of 2. So multiply, I want to multiply 2x. So 2x is equal to 4. So let's multiply each side of the equation by the reciprocal, which is 1 over 2. 1 over 2. Then you can cancel out these 2. X is equal to reduce. The right side is reduced, so becomes 2, right? Can you see it? So 2 to cancel out, it becomes 1x. 1x equals 2. Then x equals, 1x is equal to x. So x equals 2. This is how we solve an equation in this format. So x is multiplied by a number. So to get rid of the number, we have to multiply the equation by what? Reciprocal. So we already wrote this one in. Variable is equal to constant. So 2 is the solution. All right, let's try this. So solve the equation. Okay, here is the 3x. Okay, 3x over 4 means, isn't it? 3 over 4 times x. Can you see it? 3x means 3 times x, right? 3 times x. So this is same as 3/4 times x. 3/4 times x. So why don't we multiply the reciprocal of 3/4? What's the reciprocal of 3/4? That is 4/3, right? 4/3. So multiply each side by 4/3. All right, then we can cancel out. This is 4 cancel out. Becomes 1 times x. 1 times x is x. And this is negative stays. Reduce. So 3 times 4 is 12. So x equals negative 12. This is the solution. Okay, let's try the same thing. The problem number 5. Okay, negative 2x over 5 means negative 2 over 5. times x, isn't it? Times x is equal to 6. So we will multiply each side by what? Get rid of this negative 2/5. Negative 2/5. So let's multiply the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of negative 2/5? Negative 5/2. Negative sign stays the same. Don't change the negative sign. If you change the sign, then that is opposite, right? Opposite. But this is a reciprocal. Reciprocal is just interchange the numerator and denominator. So negative sign stays the same. So negative 5/2. Then we can cancel out all this negative becomes positive. 5 cancel out, 2 cancel out. So x is equal to, and this negative sign moves to the front, and this one you can reduce it. All right, so 3 times 5 is 15. X is equal to negative 15. Because this negative sign went out, and positive times negative is negative, right? Positive times negative is negative. So negative 15. Okay, let's try more examples. Still same. So here is 4x is equal to 6. So why don't we what is the reciprocal of 4? Reciprocal of 4 is 1/4, right? 1/4. So multiply each side by 1/4. Or you can do this way. This is a product. This is a product. Then if we have the same number in the denominator, then we can cancel out, right? Cancel out. So in this case, we can divide each side by 4. Divide each side by 4, then x equals 3/2. Can you see it? So if you have something like this, x over, this is another example, x over 2 is equal to, let's say, 3. Then since 2 is in the denominator, we can multiply this whole thing by 2. Then you can cancel this out, right? So x equals 6. So if a number is in the numerator, then divide the equation. If a number is in the denominator, then multiply, so that we can get rid of those numbers. All right, let's try another one. Okay, 6x is equal to 10. Now 6 is in the numerator, so why don't we divide each side by the same number, 6? So you can cancel out this 6. So x is equal to 5/3, right? All right, how about this one? Now, the left side of the equation has like terms, right? These two are the like terms. What do we do if we have a like terms? Combine, right? Combine the like terms. Okay, let me write down here, combine the like terms. So in order to combine the like terms, make sure the like terms are on the same side. Okay, like terms must be on the same side. So 5x and minus 9x are on the same side, so we can combine these two. Right? So that is 5 minus 9x is equal to 12. So negative 4, x is equal to 12. Then what do we do with what do we do next? Okay, divide, right? Divide. Okay, 4x is equal to 12. So the x is multiplied by negative 4. So why don't we divide each side by what? 4 or negative 4? Negative 4. Okay, because we just want to leave x alone. Leave it alone. So negative 4 should be removed. So divide each side by what? Negative 4. So negative 4 cancel out. X is equal to, okay, this negative sign moves to the front, negative 3. Okay. All right, let's try the next one. This is the last one. Okay, 4x minus 8x. These two are in the same size, so we can combine these two. So when you combine this, Add the coefficients 4 minus 8, x is equal to 16, then negative 4x is equal to 16. Same thing, isn't it? Same thing. So x is multiplied by negative 4. So get rid of this one. In order to move negative 4, we will divide each side by negative 4. So you can cancel out this negative 4. X is equal to negative moves to the front. This is 4, right? 4. So 16 over 4 is 4. Okay. That's it for this section.